Hey everyone. So lately there hasn't been an update on what I've been doing all the time. My last video was roughly 8 months ago. You must have been thinking that I gave up, didn't you? But don't worry, I've been working non-stop for all this time and I've decided to finally share some progress with you again. There's a lot of stuff I could cover in this video, but today I'll just focus on some of the key improvements and additions I made during these last few months. So this is how the game looked like when I made the last video, right? This is footage from roughly 1 month ago. Quite a difference, right? So what exactly have I been working on? Let's start out with the map generation of vegetation and so on. At this point we already had the basics set for generating grass, weeds, rocks and so on the map. However, there were still some issues with the recognition of these tiles as obstacles. Here, for example, you can see how I'm able to place a structure on top of these obstacles, although I shouldn't be able to. So I went ahead and worked on a system that perfectly recognizes each obstacle and also marks them as such. All fields that appear in red here are not available to be worked on right now. So the only possible interaction with them would be to destruct them. So another thing that I did not like about this area was that everything outside of the farm was completely empty. It looked way too artificial, so I had to program another system that would generate all the nature around this fenced area. So since the outside area is not a tile-based ground like in here, the system for that had to be slightly different. So in order to make a real big visual impact on the scene, I went ahead to Blender again and modeled even more different plants and rocks to just increase the overall variety. Then I also increased the spawn rate of the vegetation and thus ended up with a much more full and natural looking environment. Another new thing that I made in this time was the hover highlight feature. You've probably already seen it when I hover around this area. Each plant is getting like a white border. This gives everything a much more satisfying feel and lets you instinctively know that you are able to somehow interact with everything you see on the map. The next big addition is the object placement system. You are now able to place objects such as a stove or a working bench onto your farm and utilize them for a variety of purposes. Here you can see how the system from before works perfectly as well. The game recognized that there are rocks in the way and doesn't allow you to place the stove on those tiles. So as you know, there are some interactable structures that you start out with right next to your farmhouse. For example, this inventory, the barn or the well. And those are basically just there to provide you the uttermost needs of your farming life. However, there will also be tons of other structures that you will be able to craft or purchase from a store, which you can then place on your farm. These will be either producing stuff for you or be mere decorative items. Here's some of the stuff that I've already modeled. This, for example, is the sawmill. You can put wooden logs into this, which you get by chopping down trees, and produce wooden planks out of it. Yeah, this is just one of the examples. I would rather save most of these placeable things up for one of the next videos where I can properly show them inside the game and actually show you how they work and how they are being used. And here are also some of the decorative items that I was talking about, with things like benches, lanterns, plants and so on. You will be able to make your farm look a little nicer. Most of these items right now do not have a real function, but I've already thought of a way to implement them into the game design and give you an actual incentive to craft and place these objects. So even if you don't care about making your farm look nice, you will still may be forced to purchase these decorative items and place them somewhere on the map. Again, I'll go more in depth about stuff like this in future videos. Right now I just want to give you a couple of random additions from the last few months. So make sure to also check out my upcoming videos that will be coming soon. And hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Next up is the harvesting system. Last time the whole process of planting, growing and harvesting was still quite a work in progress. Since then I've improved and polished some of the stuff. Here for example, when you harvest an item now, after it is fully grown, the crop icon will drop and slightly bounce on the ground, if you look closely. I'll probably still work on the disappearing of the crop itself. Right now it's just vanishing, but I think it would look much more satisfying if there were maybe some particle effects involved as well. The next big thing that I implemented was these HP points. Each piece of nature that is being spawned is supposed to basically get a health bar. This will determine how much power and work is needed to destruct that obstacle. A tree, for example, should require much more effort and better tools to get rid of than just a patch of grass. This tree, however, has 4 full health points. Also, you will need to get an axe for this one instead of a shovel, and even then it will take much more hits to actually get rid of the tree, and sometimes maybe your axe will break along the way and you will have to craft a new one, so yeah. And now, just for notice, both projects that I've been working on so far, Kratoria and this farm game, are still both in development and have not been halted or anything. I apologize for my long absence. Creating these videos is just too much work and it significantly slowed down the progress that I was making with the games themselves. It was also becoming impossible to make enough presentable progress in between each devlog, so that's why I just thought that I should stop doing them. However, now that I've finished the bulk of the work for this game, I can slowly start making more videos again and cover all the stuff that I've worked on in these following weeks. So thanks for sticking around the channel for all this time, and see you in the next devlog.